All right, and it is time to check on movies, and I'm very happy to bring on the esteemed Marina Times columnist. He comes and goes on a rainbow. It is Michael Snyder, everybody. Thank sound
Hey,
effect.
hey, happy Friday, Kim.
Hi.
Hi. I'm glad to be here. Hope everybody's looking forward to the weekend. I know that sports fans in the Bay Area and, all points south, east, west,
Yep.
and north are excited about the Boston Red Sox coming to Oracle Park and facing off against the Giants. First time in a number of years, and I am thrilled and filled with anticipation.
Okay. That's good. Are you going to the game?
I am not,
Yep.
but I will be watching diligently on my laptop
Okay. All
and
right.
rooting on the team. Speaking of laptops and the internet, I was so shocked to see that the Muskrat has begun rebranding Twitter as X, and
Yes.
heedless of the letters association with porn, or follow me here, maybe because of its association with porn. I don't know.
You think Twitter becomes a porn warehouse?
I have no idea, but
I don't
you
either.
know, it could be a pirate thing. X marks the spot. Maybe he was
Yeah.
reading Treasure Island. I have no idea what possessed the guy to do this. A
It's so
brand that's so
weird.
solid. I mean,
Yeah,
the
it's
Twitter and
crazy.
Twitter and tweet are in the lexicon. They're like verbs, right? I mean,
Right. And it takes
or,
a lot. I mean, talk about marketing. It takes a lot to get something to, be part of our culture and just be so ingrained. And now to change it like that, yeah, I don't understand either.
I don't either.
Right.
You want to talk movies?
Let's talk movies because, everyone's talking Barbie and Oppenheimer still. That still seems to be the focus, but there's more to see.
Right. I have actually been treated for a serious case of Barbenheimer. It's there's a prescription, and it's to go to another movie. And let's kick off with Haunted Mansion. The movie is called Haunted Mansion, but it's not
Okay.
particularly scary. Then again, it features performances by really accomplished comedic actors Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish, and Danny DeVito, but it's not particularly funny. After the unexpected success and franchising of Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion is another movie based on a Disneyland ride, and this is the second attempt to bring a story built around elements of the Haunted Mansion theme park to the big screen. That said, it is much better than the pretty awful 2003 Eddie Murphy vehicle, The Haunted Mansion, which isn't saying much. And in fact, I'd put it on a par with the rather meh 2021 Halloween special, Muppet Haunted Mansion, which was made for streaming on Disney Plus, and I assume is still there if you want to watch it. So, in the case of the 2023 Haunted Mansion, the filmmakers, director Justin Simeon and screenwriter Katie Dippold, did try to give this, let's call it a cinematization. I don't know what to call it. Anyway, they tried to give it some emotional heft, with three of the principal characters mourning lost loved ones, which makes their attempts to interact with the spirit world a little more poignant and sensible to the context of the movie. Lakeith Stanfield is New Orleans resident Ben. He's an ex-scientist type whose misery has gotten the best of him, so he has forsaken his career and is now barely making a living by leading ghost tours of the French Quarter, where he debunks the supernatural to his disgruntled customers. I mean, they go on ghost tours hoping to actually get some, like, ooh, ghosts are real. He's not buying any of that. So Rosario Dawson is Gabby, a widowed single mother with a precocious son named Travis, who desperately misses his father. And their move to a fixer-upper in New Orleans isn't going too well due to the presence of many angry specters roaming the dilapidated halls of the house.
Oh.
So, a promise of quick cash from a shady minister, played by Owen Wilson, brings Ben and the man of the cloth to the mansion, where Ben, finds out that maybe there's something going on. And he and eventually a medium and a professor of the paranormal, played respectively by Haddish and DeVito, are brought into the mix with predictably wacky results. Yes, there is a degree of emotion courtesy of Stanfield Dawson and Chase W. Dillon, the kid actor who plays Travis. Oh, yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis and Jared Leto were roped into roles gleaned from the Disneyland attraction. And the New Orleans setting is funky and known to get appropriately ooky spooky.
Right.
Still, the scares and the laughs are no great shakes. The film even goes so far as to have a sequence where certain unfortunates trapped in the titular mansion are thrown into chairs and scooted around through doors and out of the mansion, just like people on a certain ride at Disneyland. So it's like a 2-hour exercise in product placement, which seems to be the wave of the present. So let's see. In the past year, we've seen Tetris, BlackBerry, Super Mario Brothers, Dungeons and Dragons, Barbie, of course. And next week, we're going to get Gran Turismo, a movie that features the video game racing simulator of the same name as a major element of its based on a true story plot. And now we have Haunted Mansion. Kim, as soon as the strike is over, I'm getting on board the product IP train and pitching Almond Joy the movie, the inspiring tale of a confection that risked censure by daring to put nuts on top of a coconut and chocolate mounds bar. That's going to be my big pitch.
Didn't we have a movie about, was it Doritos or chips?
Oh, yeah. Flaming Hot, about Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Cheetos,
yeah.
That's right. So if we had a Cheeto movie, we could have an Almond Joy movie.
Right, I'm telling you, this thing is money in the bank. Anyway, as for Haunted Mansion 2023, as for Haunted Mansion 2023, it doesn't earn a boo from me, mostly due to the goodwill generated by its skilled cast, Stanfield, Dawson, Wilson, Haddish, and DeVito, but it is no e-ticket ride, if you get my drift.
I have a question about it, though. Would you say it's for kids? Is it a good kid movie, or is it too spooky for kids?
It is. It's a family movie, but I really tend to think, 10, 12 and up. There are some funny moments, but it does deal with death. So,
okay.
you
All right.
make the call.
What's your next one? What do you want to talk about?
Okay. Let's talk about Talk to Me. Those movies where a bunch of snarky teens get together and play chicken with a supernatural object like a Ouija board or a book of magic spells or, a cursed brooch. The cursed brooches are always laying around the house. The next thing you know, everybody's gathered around it and trying to have a seance. Now, imagine that all of those kids spoke with an Australian accent. Well, that's Talk to Me, which is a pretty decent and definitely creepy new horror movie from Down Under. So it may lean on some familiar tropes, but it's well made, well acted by its young cast, most of whom, if not all of them, unknown here in the States. And there are some grown-ups too, including a familiar face in Miranda Otto of Lord of the Rings and other big movies, who plays the mother of a brother and sister who become enmeshed in a game of spirit conjuring that uses what may or may not be an embalmed hand to contact the dead. So Talk to Me gets a little grisly, benefiting from committed performances from the young'uns and some very good practical effects and skin-crawlingly frightening makeup rather than the sort of computer-generated monsters or floating ectoplasm that seems to be in every other frame of Haunted Mansion. And more importantly, Talk to Me delves into the emotional and psychological impact of a genuine tragedy, a death that occurs before the events of the movie, and informs the actions of Mia, the teenage girl whose pain fuels the movie's descent from party time into bloody terror. Sophie Wilde, who plays Mia, shows depth and range. She's a performer to watch. And kudos to co-directors Danny and Michael Filippo, and to Danny and Bill Hinsman, who co-wrote the screenplay. Talk to Me may be a little flimsy in its setup, and again, the accents might be a stumbling block for some people. It's funny, Miranda Otto speaks so clearly and distinctly. She's classically trained, I'm sure, and the kids are just mumbling and using jargon and whatever. Nonetheless, once you accept the nuts and bolts of it, it does deliver genuine scares, unlike a certain other movie I just spoke about. Anyway, Talk to Me is in theaters, just like that other movie.
Um,
Shall we move
bef-
on?
we should, but before we do, can I show a picture of you as a Barbie?
Oh, sure, if you need to.
I do. This is Snyder in a box. Snyder Barbie.
It's
Everybody needs one. I
it's
just want to show
boho
that.
it's boho Barbie. Collect
You
them
are,
all.
that is the cutest little photo op thing, and you look adorable in your Barbie box.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to show my support for this worldwide craze, even though I thought the movie was, I enjoyed
Yeah.
watching it. Again, let me say, Oppenheimer, by all metrics, a better film, but Barbie had its pleasures. Okay, it did.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to show the Barbie and the Snyder in a box. I really appreciate it.
That, by the
All
way,
right.
that's only for people who are watching the video feed, not the audio feed. But
That's
trust
true.
me when
That's
I
true.
tell you, I'm cute as the Dickens. I really am.
All right, let's move on with your movies now.
Okay. All right. Oh, Nicolas Cage. Cage may be capable of subtle and award-worthy work on screen, as in Pig, Leaving Las Vegas, and City of Angels, but he is also revered when he's in his over-the-top glory, as in the recent horror comedy Renfield, with Sympathy for the Devil, a
Oh,
lean and mean neo-film noir that also features the versatile Joel Kinnaman as a straight man. You get Cage Uncaged. He's a Boston accented bastard who sneaks into the backseat of the Kinnaman character's car in a Las Vegas hospital parking garage, where the latter has shown up because his wife is on the maternity ward and about to have a baby. So the unwanted passenger, played by Cage, pulls a gun on the driver and simply tells him to motor out of the garage and into the desert, and thus begins a cat and mouse game that has more than its share of surprises. This is not a big budget movie. It's certainly not an elegant piece of tongue-in-cheek mythologizing like the recent Cage-centric comedy, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. It is a seriously nutty joy to be on this journey into tension that takes some very unexpected turns. And Cage and Kinnaman play off one another so well. While it's not among either actor's best, Sympathy for the Devil, which was tightly directed by Yuval Adler, is, let's say, devilishly entertaining, especially for Cage fans. It's in theaters, and this is one of those movies that's going to play well at home as well. Sympathy for the Devil, I enjoyed it. I like Cage. I like watching him chew the
yeah.
scenery. He was gobbling up miles and miles of desert in this one. I don't know how he manages to do that, but he did.
Would you call it an action thriller or not
Yeah.
horror?
No,
Okay.
it's film noir-ish tension, kind of crime drama vibe.
Okay.
Speaking of which, as unlikely as it may seem, the unexpected hybrid of science fiction, gangster crime drama, and comedy entitled They Cloned Tyrone is one of the better movies I've seen this year, and it's available now on Netflix. So woohoo. Fontaine, played by John Boyega of Attack the Block and recent Star Wars movies, is a low-level drug dealer in his rundown inner-city neighborhood. Yo-Yo, played by Tiona Paris, who is Monica Rambeau, aka Photon, in the Marvel movies and TV shows. She's a streetwalker who wants out of the life and into higher education, or so she says.
Right.
Slick Charles, played by Oscar winner Jamie Foxx, is a feckless pimp who's trying to get by with the least amount of effort. But their ramshackle corner of the world is not what it seems, which they each begin to realize when Fontaine is gunned down by a rival drug dealer and left for dead, only to wake up in his bed the next morning, none the worse for bullets. So is Fontaine dreaming or hallucinating? And if so, why did Yo-Yo and Charles see him get shot? So mysteries unravel over the course of an extremely amusing and fun-filled movie that also features David Allen Greer in a brief but hilarious turn as a preacher, and Kiefer Sutherland as a man with the answers that Fontaine, Yo-Yo, and Charles seek but may not like. Anyway, They Cloned Tyrone was directed in very lively and knowing fashion by Jewel Taylor, who co-wrote the razor-sharp script with Tony Rettenmeyer. It's strong on social satire and 70s blaxploitation movie energy, even though it's apparently set in the modern day. And it somehow manages to be mordantly funny, even as it depicts some ugly truths about the racial divide that still exists in America after centuries. Some have likened it to Get Out in its subtext, and I see echoes of Westworld. It does have science fictional elements, as one might perceive from the title. I'm just glad that they didn't call it Clones in the Hood, because that would have been a joke too far. It's in theaters, but more importantly, like I said, it's on Netflix. I really got a kick out of it.
So, do you want to talk about one more or a TV show? Because I think we can squeeze in one other thing.
Let's talk about television for a moment,
Okay.
because as you know, I like genre stuff. I like science fiction. I like superheroes. And I want to say a few words in praise of Those Old Scientists, which is a crossover episode
Oh,
of Star Trek Strange New Worlds that deftly incorporates characters from the animated series Star Trek Lower Decks with Jack Quaid. Yeah, that Quaid name means what you think of it, grown up nepo baby, and Tawny Newsome, actress and musician, as live action versions of the ensign characters that they voice on Lower Decks, Bradward Boimler and Beckett Mariner. And regardless of Quaid's lineage, mom and dad are Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. He is fantastic as the live action Boimler. And the main cast of Strange New Worlds is up for the comedy that results from this the situation where the wayward ensigns portal from their 2D world 100 years in the future back to the 3D world of pre-Star Trek, pre-Kirk Star Trek, before Kirk takes the helm. So you've got Anson Mount as Christopher Pike, and you got Rebecca Romaine as number one, and Ethan Peck as the young Spock. It was
yeah.
so entertaining. I have never seen in my life an element of Star Trek or Star Wars or something from Marvel that didn't have a lot of complaints in social media for one reason or another. I saw nothing but 100% praise for this thing
Wow.
from all corners, and I was shocked. And speaking of the Quaids, Full Circle on Max is a Steven Soderbergh-helmed 6-episode miniseries inspired by Akira Kurosawa's classic crime drama High and Low. Yeah, he did more than samurai epics. Full Circle is a multi-character ensemble piece set in New York City that spins out of a kidnapping that goes wrong. I was totally engrossed in it. The cast is headed up by Zazie Beetz, Claire Danes, Timothy Oliphant, and Jack
Wow.
Quaid's dad, Dennis Quaid. I really enjoyed Full Circle on Max, which used to be known as HBO Max. And I guess that wraps things up for today's little culture blast.
It does. So let's wrap it up. Haunted Mansion. You said meh. Talk to Me, you enjoyed. You said it's there's some problems with it, but overall, Talk to Me, you said was pretty good. And some of the up and coming actors you said we should watch for. Sympathy for the Devil. I don't think you liked that one very much.
No, I did
Yeah.
like it.
You
I
did
think
like Sympathy for the Devil. Okay.
right. I did. I thought it was fun. It was like a two-hander with Joel Kinnaman and Nick Cage in his glory. I
Okay.
enjoyed it. Again, made on a shoestring, but kick butt. It's not going to change the world, but I enjoyed it.
And they cloned Tyrone. You found that funny, and you thought that was a good one.
Yeah, it's my favorite of the 4 films, actually, and it's
Yeah.
again available on Netflix. How's that?
And I think you said it's called Those Old Scientists. Is that what
That's
the star?
it's the episode
Yeah.
of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. If you're watching the show, you already know. That's
Okay.
it was so much fun.
And Full Circle for TV. And I love that you always talk about TV because I think that's where most of us are watching. So that's good. Thank you for including that.
Hey, my pleasure, and
Yeah.
thanks for having me on.
Thank you. You can find Michael Snyder at the Marina Times and, of course, here on the Mark Thompson Show every Friday. Michael Snyder, thank you.
You're very welcome, Kim. We'll check you out and Mr. Mark Thompson next week at a new
That's it.
time. I guess we'll be coming on at about 12:40 p.m. Does that sound right?
So the show will be from 11 to 1. And on Friday, next Friday, you'll be at about, I would say 12:35, 12:40. So that sounds about right.
Well, but it's just like daylight savings time.
That's
Push your
right.
clocks ahead, everybody.
Michael Snyder, he comes and goes on a rainbow.
Farewell and go Giants.
Bye, Michael Snyder. And that.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.